Where's the fire?
Attention, attention.
Yeah.
Carl has something to say.
I'd like to say a few words as to why are we here? Maybe a little history first. Always been a mountain railroader, my dad before me. I was just telling the guys, I must have 50 cars wrapped up in the basement, always mantua couplers on them. You know, back when my dad was modeling in the early 40s. Okay, jump ahead a bunch of years, 1961. My girlfriend, soon to be my wife, lives in Libertyville, teaches school. I'm finishing at IIT, my last semester there. And as we all know, there's only one way to go from Chicago to Libertyville if you don't have a car. And that was the North Shore. So, frequently on a Sunday, it's a walk to the Irving Park Ravenswood Station, down to Belmont, up to Wilson, jump on the North Shore, up to Libertyville. In the evening, a train back. On occasion, she'd ride down, drive, she had a car. And that kind of gave me the traction bug, shall we say. We got married at the end of '61, still with one car, and I'm still at IIT. We lived just back of the North Shore right away. It was a walk to Garfield, jump on the train, Howard Street, yell down to 35th Street, go to school, come back. I graduate in January of '61, or '62 rather. Then I start working at Teletype, Skokie, at Tui and Central. And again, still one car, and she's teaching, and it's winter. So, North Shore, Howard Street, what was it, United Motor Coach, out Tui to Central. Eventually I started to drive, but I got the modeling bug, okay? 1962, I've been reading MR and a few other things. CRA published the first of the North Shore books. At the same time, LaBelle was beginning to put out kits. This car was made in 1962. It's a little heavier now. Jump ahead about 10 years. I joined the NMRA, went to a couple of meetings, and two stand out. The division had advertised, oh, the guy's going to talk about building from scratch a CSL Pullman out of Strathmore. And of course, it's Eric. What were you, 18? 1972?
I was 21.
21, okay. I was not acquainted with Eric, but Eric was doing it. January of '73, I go to a division meeting at Des Plaines, Mount Prospect, wherever they held it. They're going to do a little thing here, and we're sitting down. Guy sits down next to me, and the guy starts to talk at the table up there doing his presentation. I mentioned to this guy, well, I model traction. And the guy says, well, I do too. And he pulls out these pictures of this layout. And he says, you know, we get together occasionally. How'd you like to come down next February, next month, second Friday of the month? So, okay. 50 years ago in 8 months, I'm standing right here. Then we did the modules. As you see here, in 1976, we began with, what were it, 4 or 5? Bozak was holding a meeting. I forget now where it was. I don't think it was the Midland, but maybe it was one of the hotels. But we put modules together. In that group that was here in 1973, there was about 14 guys. The colonel of that group were friends of Ken's. He'd grown up grade school and high school. 6 guys altogether at Shell, maybe made 7. Jim Fox, Jim Winmeyer, Ron Johnson, Dave, George Clark, Eric, Rudy Goode, oh yeah,
Rudy Goode, yeah.
Goode, and Ron Knutson. Okay, and that brings me to this car. The car was originally built with spring belt drive. We all know what they're like, okay? In the late 70s, I began to work. There's got to be a better, more permanent way to run these cars, and I began to work with timing belts. Okay, I was an R&D engineer at Teletype. I got out to some of the guys in purchasing, told them what I wanted, and they spent a couple of days, and they said, hey, Servo-Link down in Texas has got plastic bicycle chain just the size you need. So that's what's here. Wow. Chain drive, can motor. I modified the Sidem trucks, and I've done that on a number of cars and for a number of folks. Okay, so that's the oldest car I have, built in '62. Sitting over there is a little Lennox City Line car, that was just built this year, 3D printed, okay, with a Bowser drawing. Now, the group here has been together 50 years now?
Probably,
Well,
at least.
When I came in February of '73, so that's 50 years, 8 months ago. And,
It would be 50 years now.
yeah, okay. Lots of, unfortunately, we've lost a lot of folks. George Clark was part of it, he's gone. All of Ken's friends are gone. Dave Swenson just died last Sunday, was the last of the 5, he was the last one. Fox, Winmeyer, Johnson, now Swenson, so. I guess I'd like to thank you for 50 years
Yeah, sure.
of fun and friendship.
Let me return the thanks. I would say too, of our group, one thing that really is nice, Carl, as you have just heard, is a genius when it comes to drives and the mechanical part of cars. I'm utterly incompetent in that regard.
But an artist.
But what I love to do is build layouts. So I have some brass cars I've never even painted. Hope maybe someday, 50 years from now, I'll get around to it, but not likely. So what's worked out well in a big group like that is you have guys with different specialty. Bernie also has a marvelous layout. And what can I say? Everybody joins together with their own area of expertise.
In fact, that first meeting that I was in February of '73, Ron Knutson had modified a camera, put a little pinhole aperture. He wanted to take pictures and get lots of depth of field. And I had been working with this and had the timing belt and all that. And he did an article for Bang Jones T&M. And I can't remember when it got published. I know it was published, but the timing belt got talked about and all these things got, pictures were up and, and I think Ron did at least a couple more articles for T&M maybe.
Yeah,
And then,
Carl, I got a complete set of CMs.
yeah.
When you wanted to look at it?
Well, I can go up to Strayhorn, we got it all too.
Yeah, all right.
So, but, different guys have contributed different things, so.
No, I came in the group fairly early. Not sure exactly how I came in is.
Let me get a picture. Keep talking, Bernie. I wanted to get a picture.
Saw something about postcards. Somebody was giving a talk about it. I went to it. And got appointed standing over there. And then that led into being in the group here. Back in the 70s. I've been with you guys all at that time too.
The sad thing about the postcards is that I had quite a nice collection.
Yeah.
We had a fire here in 1978. That was the end of the postcards. Also the end of a lot of railfare stuff. But the important, expensive stuff survived, so.
This photograph is from '77, Ron Knutson's basement. I think there's 14 guys here. George Clark, Ken, Bernie, me, Rudy Godey, John Matthews, that's another story. Wally Weir and Bruce Gaiman both live in now in Colorado. John is in Virginia. Jim Fox is gone. Ron Johnson gone. Eric is here. Ron Knutson, don't ever know what happened to him. Winmeyer died earlier this year. And then Swenson just this past Sunday. The group is come and gone.
Sorry.
John Matthews was a friend of George Clark. They both worked at Illinois Bell. And I think All Nations seemed to be the hub of a lot of this. People would meet at All Nations. I didn't go there. I was, living in Libertyville at the time. Anyway, so John Matthews comes, introduced. Okay, yeah, John Matthews, that's fine. We're all doing things. And then we had planned a trip to East Troy. I don't know when this was, 77, 76, whatever, 77 probably. Anyway, took my son along. I parked in the lot there to the north of the depot at East Troy. Walk out in the street, John Matthews pulls up, and this man gets up. I looked at him. I said, that's Robert Matthews. He was a neighbor. They lived across the street where I lived in the city. I remember when John was born, 1953. He had a brother and 2 sisters who were older. I said, oh my God, here's a guy with a big black beard. How would I know, 50 years later, whatever it was, that, oh yeah, this is the guy. So, but yeah, we had 14 guys here. I think a number have passed, and other people have come. When we first came, it was Walt Landsberg was here, you
Yeah.
know, George Fox, you know, Bernie, all these guys were here, and as time changes, other people come and go. We had Paul Mayer, Steve Myers, and a bunch I'm sure I've forgotten, so.
Forrest
Anyway.
Johnson?
Huh?
Forrest Johnson?
Well, Forrest Johnson, yeah, it started, you put a list together, he came sometime in the late eighties, I think, kinda joined.
Yeah, I'd have to go through myself to see exactly when, you know.
And, but again, he was, you know, up in your neck of the woods, so to speak, and I guess the other thing that's interesting too is the fraternity, it's Traction Fraternity, if you like. Other folks have had open houses. Terrell Colson is an O-scale outfit, and we would go to see him, and visit his house. At Halstead when they lived in Oak Park, and then later when they moved was at Westmont. And I actually built some O-scale stuff so I could run on their layouts, you know, so it's a big fraternity.
I was gonna say also, several years ago, I don't forget how many years ago, we were up at Train Fest in Milwaukee with our modular layout, and it was kind of a happy, sad thing, because this was gonna be our last show, and we were gonna disband the group. And who should emerge from the shadows but
Yeah.
Andy,
Yeah, right.
and not knowing his buddies. Now, they're all too young to have ridden Interurban, or maybe the North Shore, I don't know, but, they're nonetheless genuine, authentic traction fans,
Right.
quite knowledgeable, have built their own modules, which are perfect. So, they will inherit, well, I wanna save the modules, but, whatever we can tear apart on the main layout and get up the stairs and out of here, that goes to
Well,
Andy
my
and
original
Bill.
module went into one of the trucks this morning,
Yeah,
or this
yeah.
afternoon, so,
So life goes on.
yeah.
Great.
And it's
Yeah.
appreciated, it certainly is.
Yeah.
I met Andy, before the time we're talking about. He was over there with a nice little 3x4 layout, was it, Andy?
Mhm.
What was that called?
Oh, Wayne